We're back here on the program Jones and Company, speaking today with the CEO of BTC. Mr. Williams, you are now answerable to the chairman of Cable and Wireless. When you were there prior in this position, you were answerable to certain chairmen who were appointed by the government of the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. So you have a private sector as opposed to a government situation. What is the difference?
The difference in one case is the same, but there is a difference.
Yes.
I can tell you the chairmen that I had worked with, Sir Albert Miller, was private sector. One of the things he said to me when I was appointed to be in charge of Grand Bahama, I would meet with him once a month, and he would kind of mentor me, was, Williams, I wanted to pull the civil service mentality out of you. Okay?
Out of BTC?
Out of BTC, He said, BTC is like a man who pursuing a young girl across the street. But by the time he get to her, she's old with it. Say BTC was like pushing molasses uphill. Uphill, molasses uphill. Sir Albert being the military man.
Yes,
so he would always talk to me about the generals, everything about General MacArthur, Churchill. I mean, that was it. Being a former policeman, he spoke about the general. All his methodology and business sense was around the general. You cannot manage what you cannot measure. Those kind of things. You cannot lead staff that you don't know. You got to know people. You got to be able. So when I take for example, I go to meetings and stuff. I take my PA, Ms. Ivy, walks with me because she's taking notes. Because when I'm talking to you, I'm looking at your body language. I'm trying to see the unspoken words, what you're not telling me, but you want to tell me because of the audience, the sociology that takes place. So I am there, focused solely on you, so I could see your body language. And so that is where I take, for example, my definition of leadership. I go to Colin Powell for my definition of leadership. Colin Powell says, leadership is the ability to get out of people more than the science of management being possible. Which means you can go to college and get your MBA and learn the science of leadership. The application of leadership, however, is an art. That sometimes just got to come from the gut belly. You just got to know to do it.
You have to do it.
So you got people in leadership positions who can't make decisions.
Yes.
That's not leadership. You got people who are managing, but they call themselves leaders. They're good managers, but they're not leaders. And so I've taken that art from people like Sir Albert Miller. I've had a chairman like a Greg Bethel. Greg is just outside the box. Greg will say to me, set my objectives. Williams, how much do you intend to make? I remember my first year, and I said to him, $305 million. He said, you got to be kidding. BTC had never made $300 million in its history. He said, I want 317. I gave him 327. So I see another leader. I go to Miami last week, and I said to Phil Bentley, and I said to him, I'm bringing in a support to present the deep dive. So when you get into Miami, all the CEOs from around the Caribbean is presenting to the headquarters staff over your results over the quarter, year over year. So the presentation takes anywhere between 2.5 hours to 3 hours. We are all allotted 3 hours to present, and you're going through the lines, through the lines. And so as a result of that, I said to him, I'm bringing some support. He says, but you are presenting. I can't tell Phil Bentley, these are not my numbers. I'm not responsible for what happened in June and in May and April. I can't tell him that. I am the CEO, so I got to present. So I went home that night before I had to present, all night and sleep, make sure I studied the numbers.
So the strategic plan of BTC has changed since you took over a month or so ago.
We're changing the plan as we go. The other
You're modifying it.
Yeah, the other differences you have to understand is that I also have to be cognizant of what stocks are doing. C&W is traded openly on the stock market.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So if the stocks are going up and down, my boss, Mr. Phil Bentley, could have a problem. Keeping in mind that BTC has had 3 chairmen in the last 12 months. David Shaw in January. Tony Rice came in and lasted until October, November, and then Phil Bentley came in. It is easy to be a chairman and not a chairman, if you understand what I'm saying.
but you
it's all about performance.
Yes, you talked about the wonderful performance that you had when you were first there, but the market has changed.
It has.
And it has changed markedly. And you have...
When I was there, Nortel was a company that was doing $19 billion.
Yes.
It's history.
Yes.
But it doesn't exist.
Yes, but here in the Bahamas...
Blackberries and RIM
yes.
own the Caribbean. You couldn't even give away a BlackBerry today.
But here in the Bahamas, let's talk about what's happening here. You have landlines now that is run by another company. Are they eating into your profit?
Mr. Jones, the landlines, SRG and Indigo was there when I was there. Yeah. The only thing is different is that Cable Bahamas has acquired, without doing anything, SRG and Indigo.
Okay.
Cable Bahamas launched internet services long before BTC. They own the market. BTC has always been playing catch up because BTC did not launch DSL until 2002.
And the internet
there was, I can tell you, a particular minister of BTC who didn't think that BTC should have gotten into the internet at all, period, prior to 2002.
But you did.
But we did. Okay, so I'm saying...
But they still own the internet market.
So I'm saying that cable had always owned the internet market. Indigo and SRG had their own international gateway and they had landlines. The only difference is what we have going forward to competition, for example, is that Cable Bahamas has television. If they were to get a license to do cellular, they'd have quad play and BTC would have tri-play.
So you're trying to catch up?
We're trying to, we have always come from behind in that.
You're coming from behind?
From behind in not having a television station, number one, and number two, not having the internet market. We've had cellular and we've been dominant in landline. But that dominance is going down. Look at the numbers that people call you from. You see them calling you. And what makes it even more remarkable is that IRCA has introduced local number portability. So before you could look at a number and say, this is a BTC number, this is a cable number. But if a customer is not happy with BTC and they move to cable, they can carry their number.
Yes.
So looking at it, you can no longer tell whether this person is a Cable Bahamas number.
Let me ask you, is that causing any confusion in the marketplace? Because many people are now complaining about dropped calls on landlines. And that portability, they believe, might have something to do with it.
That could have something to do with it. And the other thing that could have something to do with it has to be the fact that BTC has been in this position for almost 5 years trying to migrate from the legacy network into an NGN, next generation network. And they've been trying to port or carry over these numbers from the old legacy telephone network to this new NGN. And that too creates some pressure pain points in the network. Same thing with the cellular. They have been trying to migrate from the 2G network, almost 2 years now, into the new 3G, 4G network. And the migration has not been completed. So you've got people on both networks. You've got two networks running.
How long is it going to take to have that completed so that you have one network that is functional, that is working well? Because the public is becoming a nuisance, really, to have all of these dropped calls on cell lines as well as landlines, and you're not getting good grades there, Mr. Williams, and you have to take responsibility.
No,
I know you are new in the chair, but you have to assume the responsibility.
It is now my responsibility.
Yes.
I say to people all the time, you cannot drive a car looking forward, going forward, looking in the rearview mirror. And that is why the rearview mirror is very small compared to the windshield. So I can't blame anybody. I have ownership of it.
Yes.
And so the ownership is that right now, as we speak, 40% of the cellular customers are on a 3G, 4G network. 60% are now on a 2G network, the old 2G network. Monies has been spent, but it has not been sufficient to provide the capacity for the migration from the 2G network to the 4G network. If I had the power, I probably would carpet bomb the network and start all over from scratch, but I can't. This flight, this plane that I write to the employees about, BTC flight, we have to repair this plane at 33,000 feet. There are no airports. We have to repair the engines on this plane. They are dysfunctional. I started with destruction. We require anywhere between 29, I was in Miami trying to get 29, to be able to install an additional 17 sites to address the drop calls.
Yes, but Mr. Williams, how did it get this way?
No,
but see, how did it get this way? Because
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I know I wasn't there. But 2 years ago, we weren't having landlines dropping. How did it get this way? See, the attentive public would like to know.
The necessary investments were not made in the network. That's how it got this way. And so we went bragging about the 3G, 4G network. We went ahead and decided that we're going to promote this and promote that and promote that. And we didn't have the capacity to do it. And so, for example, the marketing people have come to me because we're short. My first report tells me I'm short $6 million. But I will not add any additional paying to the customer to come out to promote this and to promote that until we can fix the network.
Do you have the financial capacity now to fix the network?
CNW has to make up its mind whether they want to be servicing the Bahamas or they don't. Because if they want to be in the business of telecommunications in the Bahamas, monies has to be put into the network to fix it. Because competition is right behind the corner.
But you are making money in the cell business. You are doing extremely well. Bahamians are spending a whole lot of money on cellular phones. So you do have the revenue base to fix the network, don't you?
Mr. Jones, you know and I know how the balance sheets operate. Revenue, profits, and dividends are separate, different from each other. And so capitalization of the capital works that is required to fix a network and the operating cost, the OPEX of the network. So when you take the revenues, you take the operating cost of the network, and you separate that, you get the profit, the net profit. Out of the net profit, you're going to pay dividends, cash in the bank, operating, and CapEx.
Yes, but there comes a time when you cannot get dividends.
And there comes a time.
So dividends must be reinvested.
There comes a time, if you continue doing without growing the top line,
yes,
you find out that there will be no profit. So, for example, BTC has 738 employees. The payroll minus national insurance, pension, minus insurance, health insurance, minus overtime, the basic payroll is about 200,000 shy of 40 million.
40 million a year.
40 million a year. Payroll.
Are you overstaffed?
It's a question of not whether we are overstaffed. It's a question of whether we are properly utilizing the staff to its best efficiencies. Keeping in mind that if you were to do a study, cost-benefit analysis, and compare us to the Caribbean, there's no other country in the Caribbean like us. We have 700 islands, rocks, and keys with a universal service obligation to supply telecommunications into any settlement of the Bahamas that has 10 households or more. Barbados is a single island. Jamaica is a single island. Grenada is a single island. Those are island countries.
Yes.
So the cost of doing business in the Bahamas is completely different from the cost of doing business, which means that the employees that are required, if you've got an install in Magona, the old methodology was we would have technicians in all those islands. People could pay their bills in all those islands. Let's throw something in here. We've got people in islands that we pay, Mr. Jones, where there are no banks. Those people, to get their salary, got to come to Nassau.
Yeah, but fine, I hear you.
So I'm talking about in terms of modeling the operating costs, okay? And so what you will find a lot of people are doing that are not here, that are absent to us, trying to manage a company, they will model us all together as the Caribbean.
I hear you, but
And that's the challenge that I have.
yes, fine. But in terms of efficiency of your staff and the technical capacity of staff, I just wonder whether or not you are well capacitated in terms of the efficiency of your people and the training of your people to meet the challenges that we are talking about.
Until I properly organize the organization, then I'll have to drill down into the human capital. I have to properly restructure the company and find out. Because to go from a matrix management to a centralized management, it's two different styles of management.
But how long is it going to take for that to happen?
I said to you 30 days.
30 days?
Yes.
And you...
My first 30 days is the restructuring of the company.
Yes. But how long would it take to fix the technical problems that you have?
Oh, to fix the technical problems. I'm hoping that between now and November, we begin to feel a difference.
You'll see and feel the difference.
From the cellular network. If you note that in my first week, we put what we call a cow, cellular on wheels. We installed one on Bahama Boulevard.
I saw some
Bahama Boulevard.
Yes.
We installed one at R.M. Bailey Park. So we are getting into how we know what the problems are. The reason why we had to install a cow on Bahama Boulevard, you drive there every day. If you look at the Melia Hotel, the old Crystal Palace, you would know that we had a cell site on that. We allowed Bahama to build a hotel. So the Bahama now is higher than the cellular on Melia. So when you drive that road, the signal is blocked. We need to get 17 additional sites in New Providence to be able to fix those kind of problems that we have.
We have to take
17 more towers and sites. So it's land acquisition, getting equipment in, getting BEC in, hooking up the power, running the fiber cables and all that. That does not happen overnight.
Okay, let's take another break here. This is Jones and Company, and we're having a frank discussion today with the CEO of BTC, Leon Williams. We'll come right back.